Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for apple pie. This recipe is my granny and great granny's recipe, and my granny was born near the middle of the Dust Bowl and was a little girl near the end of the Dust Bowl, and I think this recipe is from then. Back then there wasn't a lot of butter. It was hard to come by because of the overtilling of the ground and the drought. There wasn't a lot of grass for the cows to eat and make milk, and so butter was scarce. Also during that time, obviously refrigeration, especially out on the Kansas prairie, was really hard to keep butter around that was cool. So they have this recipe that uses milk, a little bit of milk, only a quarter cup, 2%, and oil, which is different than most crust recipes you see that use cold butter and ice water. So it's super easy, and it's very pliable and very forgiving crust. So I'm excited for you to make pie for, I think I have a pie on this shirt, for Pie Week. This is my pie shirt. So let's get started. Okay, so this is everything you're going to need. We need a large bowl for our apples, a small bowl for our cinnamon sugar mixture. We need a half cup, a half teaspoon, a teaspoon, a tablespoon, some kind of big mixing spoon. We also need a wooden spoon. We need a medium-sized bowl for our crust. We need a sifter. This is my granny's. This is like a 100-year-old sifter. If you don't have a kitchen scale, you can just use measuring cups. So jump those out and I'll explain what to do in that case. I use this Johnny apple peeler, but obviously you can just peel and core and slice your own apples. Another way to slice the apples is zap them in a Cuisinart if you have a slicer attachment. We need sugar, flour, salt, cinnamon, nutmeg, milk, oil, and we do slice a little bit of butter on the top of it. That's kind of a modification that we do that is delicious. Your rolling pin and wax paper, and then also a glass measuring cup. That should do it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is our flour. I always put my sifter into my crust bowl and onto the scale. If you don't have a scale, it's just under 2 cups of flour. I think 2 cups makes it too tough. So it's 1 cup plus 2/3 cups plus like 3 tablespoons. So it's like just under 2 cups. But if you do have a scale, it's about 237 grams. So we just flip this in here. Oop, a little too much. Okay, 237, well, 238, we'll be all right. And then we need a teaspoon of salt to go in there with it. So this is a teaspoon. You can tell I've done this once or twice. Whoop. And then we sift it. We're done with that, and we're done with our scales. Now we have our sifted flour. In the old days, they sifted it to like get the bugs out, but we don't have any bugs in our flour. All right, I like to use a glass measuring cup for the oil part because it's easier to see, and also it's like fun and looks like a lava lamp. So in your glass cup, you are going to do a half a cup of oil, right to the line, and a quarter cup of milk right into that. There we go. So we have a total of 3/4 cups of liquid, and we have our own little lava lamp. All right, and then we're gonna pour that directly into our flour. Then grab your wooden spoon and just kind of fold that in together. I made this for the 5th graders today, and they were like stirring it, but it's not like a stir situation. It's like a get under and fold over. It's like a little googie, and it will come together into a nice ball here. So we've got a nice ball of dough. Then we're gonna set that aside for just a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to do our apples. So if you have one of these, which probably no one does, you can get this out, or you can get your apple peeler and slicer and core. Okay, so now we're going to do our apples. We have our Johnny Appleseed peeler, and we've got our apples. About 6 apples is enough for a pie pan that's the size that you're getting for this kit. If you have a larger pie pan like this glass pie pan at home that you want to use, you're actually going to need to make 2 batches of crust because it's just not enough to fill this whole thing. You can see how much bigger this is than this one. So yeah, if you want to use your pretty pie pan, make 2 batches of crust, and you're going to have a little left over that you can then, you know, roll out to make cinnamon sugar elephant ears. You can cook by themselves. I'll tell you how to do that in a minute. Okay, but we're going to use this little pan so everyone's doing the same thing. Now, this is the most satisfying thing you'll ever use. The kids in 5th grade couldn't believe their eyes. It has a little sticky thing here. Lock it down. This, we've got our apples. Slide them on here, and we cook. Super satisfying, and we've got this situation going for us, which is also very fun and satisfying. So I take these apples, break them apart, and put them in our apple bowl. So we're just going to do that with the rest of our apples. Okay, so now we've got like a little center of the apple there. So now we have all of our apples. Okay, now we're going to make our cinnamon sugar mixture to go onto our apples. So the first thing that we need is 1/2 cup of sugar. And when I made this growing up, we literally just like used a scoop and like eyeballed a scoop in there. So that just is to tell you that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay, so we've got our 1/2 cup of sugar. We need 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And again, when I made this growing up, we would just take the cinnamon and be like, and like eyeball it. So it doesn't have to be perfect. 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. Harlow did my nails, by the way. Very pretty. Okay, and then we need our thickener, which is flour, so that when the apples bake and all that juice flows out, the flour kind of soaks it up and makes like a little bit of a thick kind of goop in there. Okay, so we just need 3 tablespoons of flour. Again, we use like my granny's like big weird spoon, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So just 3 tablespoons. There we go. Our 3 tablespoons of flour. Now we just stir it up until it looks homogeneous, which we talked about in 5th grade today. And there we have it, our cinnamon sugar mixture. So cinnamon, sugar, nutmeg, flour. All right. We're gonna dump that into our apples. And then get your big spoon or your big spatula, whatever you've got. I like to use an extra big bowl also, which I should have said earlier because it's easier to stir everything around. So then we just stir it around and get all those apples covered. And then you gotta taste one because they're like delicious. Oh my God, that's so good.
You're gonna like it. You're gonna like it. Okay. All right, that's that stuff. Now we're going to roll out our dough. So we have 2 pieces of wax paper, about this big, 2 pieces. Okay. We've got our dough that's sitting over here ready with your clean hands. So the bottom of our dough needs to be a little bit bigger to fill in, you know, go up the edge of the pie pan. So we're gonna take like a little more than half of the dough. Put the other one back in there. Okay, so make it into a little ball. Thud, I love that sound. That like thud. Okay, and then we've got our other piece of wax paper on top, and we're gonna give it a nice smash. Okay, your rolling pin. All right, so now from the middle, the rolling pin I grew up with didn't have handles, so I'm used to rolling it like this without handles. But we're just gonna push out from the middle gently. I noticed the kids today were like, you don't need to push too hard. It's really gentle because this is very kind of like oily and like will mush out easy. So you wanna just keep turning it, trying to make a circle here. If your wax paper gets like a bump in it, it's no problem. Just lift this up, lay it back down, smooth it out. Yeah, no problem. Very forgiving crust. So we're kind of pushing it out. We don't want to like push hard all the way to the edges because the edges will thin out. They'll get too thin and then they'll be hard to peel off the wax paper. We want to try and keep the same thickness throughout the crust. Okay, so we're just gonna, it's gonna kind of almost get to the edge. It's gonna fall off. If you're like too close to the edge on one side, no problem. Take your wax paper up, realign it in the middle, flip it over. That's no problem. Just smash that back down. Smash it back down. No problem. There we go. Okay. Carry on. Trying to make a circle as best we can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Does not have to be perfect. Okay. Okay, so how my granny taught me how to see if the crust was the same thickness, Oliver, is if you just lay your hand flat on the crust, you should be able to feel differences in the thickness. And it's not like this, the kids were doing like this, touching like this. Just put your hand flat and you can feel the thickness differences. Mine's a little thicker over here, but I'm out of room and it's fine. Let's take our pie pan. Oh, that's plenty big. Actually, it's a little too big. I probably grabbed a little too much crust. No big deal, not a problem. Very forgiving. Okay. Gonna move this over here. We lost a little, we'll throw it in our bowl. We'll use it on the top. Actually, I'll just take a little more of this. Right, so don't stress out if it's not going the way you thought it would. All right, got our pan. I used this weekend to test it out for you guys. Okay, and then we do a flip. So we're gonna peel our wax paper off. It should come off that pretty easily. So I grab it with my non-dominant hand, my left hand, and put this hand underneath it like a baby, right? And then we're gonna just slip it into the pan, like that, okay? Kind of rearrange it a little, push it down a little. We'll push it down a little more later, but if we push it down too much, it's gonna be hard to peel our paper off, okay? And then this part's a little tricky. So the paper is gonna peel back. It's gonna be a little tricky. And my granny taught me you use like your thumb like this or your finger like this. And you're just gonna kind of brush that crust off. If it tears, don't worry about it. Just keep going, we'll fix it later. I'm gonna try and show you here like this. So you're just kind of brushing. It's tricksy, don't worry, it's tricksy. Brush that off. Like that, see? Okay, once you get that edge off, the middle's gonna come off a little nicer. And then we get over here to this edge. Just kind of have to be gentle, help it a little. It's the edges that are the hardest, that you kind of have to do that brushing off motion. All right, there. Now listen, it doesn't look pretty yet. So we take a little of this excess, we smash it in there, right, like that. This is a little short over here, so let's take a little of this. We're gonna put it here. It's gonna mash right in. It's no problem. Okay. Try not to block it. It's gonna mash right in. Where else? There. Looks like it needs a little. This crust is very malleable. It's very easy to patch in. Okay? And don't worry, when we get to the top part is where we'll like really make it work out and look pretty. Okay. Okay. And then, so I don't know if you can see, so it's not exactly lining up to the edge of the pan. So I kind of take it and pick it up, lift it in there a little. If you break it, just patch it. Don't worry, you guys are watching this being like, that is the ugliest pie. Don't worry, it's gonna get pretty. Okay, kind of get it down in there. All right. Okay, now we're just gonna set it aside for, well, actually, we're gonna dump our apples in. Okay, so let's dump our apples into our ugly pie. Save all these little bits because you're gonna need them for the top. This is a very small pie crust recipe, so we need like literally every bit we can get. Okay, we've got our apples. Give them one last stir because they've probably done some juicing by now. You'll see they're a little slimier. Okay. Now we're just dumping our apples up there. It smells good. So midway through, you may need to do like a little hand rearranging. To sink them down. Otherwise, you know, as they cook down, there'll be like a lot of space. So we want to eliminate any little pockets that don't have apples in them. Okay, so that's about the right amount. Like that's the right kind of domage that we need. Okay, got some apples left over. You can have them as a snack. So good. Okay, so now on top of our pie, you're not supposed to eat in videos, I guess, because then everyone can hear you chewing. Okay, I'm gonna take our salted butter, and we're just gonna do a couple little slices. 1, 2, actually 3. 2, 3 little slices. So I'm cutting, you know, just a slice, just a pat of butter. Boop, delicious. Perfect. All right, let's set this out of the way so we can make our top crust. My counter's clean, so we're gonna use all this. Okay. Straight into our top crust. So let's get the rest of that dough, get all those good pieces we picked up, get everything we haven't used. Okay. Squash we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna roll out our top. Okay, now we have the top of our crust. So we're gonna peel that top off, little nublet. Okay, we're done with this. All right, now you can make a design or a letter or whatever you want. I always just do a couple little classic slices in the top. This is to let the air vent out as those apples are steaming. Now, let's move our pie back. We lost some. Don't worry. Don't worry. We're going to use it. It's okay. All right. Same thing. So my non-dominant hand, my dominant hand sliding under like a baby's buns. Whoop. Move it onto the pie. Then we're going to kind of push it down to seal it. We're going to seal those apples in nice and tight. Then we're doing our little brush. Now our wax paper is folded a little, so that makes it tricky, but we're gonna do our little brushy brush. It's just kind of a little brush off there like that. Very slowly, very gently. Again, if it breaks and cracks and looks ugly, don't worry, we're gonna fix that. I'm not gonna fast forward this so that you can actually see, like mine doesn't look super perfect either at the beginning. There we go. All right. Now, this side's a little weak. We're a little short over here. So we're going to take that little bit of crust that fell off before. We're just going to kind of like smash it in here. Okay. All right. Then what we're going to do is take it from the underside and start flipping it over like a little roll. We're just going to roll it up. Again, doesn't have to be pretty yet. We're not there yet. We're a little short here. So I'm going to find some extra over here and move it to where it's even all the way around. Okay, so you're just kind of flipping it up to kind of seal it in so that the juices don't run out and onto the bottom of your oven. Okay, don't worry, it's gonna get prettier as we go. Okay, we're moving around. We're getting all these little kind of crumbly bits and just kind of stacking them. You'll see that it starts to like mash together really nicely. Crumbly bits. Rolling this up. This side has like a little bit extra, so I'm gonna put it, where did I want it? Like right in here, a little bit over here. It is an art, not a science. Okay. Folding it up over here. I know, it's still not the super prettiest thing, but don't worry. Okay, so now once you've got everything kind of like smashed up around the edges, now we're gonna start, oh, here's all this crust, perfect. Here and here, this needs a little over here. Who else needs some? Right here. Here. Okay. Try and get it as even as possible. Okay, now we're gonna start making it pretty. So we're gonna go around and just kind of mash it into like a log, if you can. Do you see how I'm kind of like making it into a little log as we go? All the little like crevices and stuff, those are just gonna make more like crispy folds when it cooks. I don't know if crispy is the right word. You know what I mean? Kind of flaky, like flaky bits. Kind of how like a croissant like folds and folds and folds and then it makes it flaky. That's what's happening here. We're getting some flake. Okay. So we're just going around, mushing it like Play-Doh into like kind of a uniform log. Kind of squeezing it together a little bit, you know, so it's not too loosely packed. Okay, now we're getting prettier, aren't we? See, we're so close. Okay. So I know I've made it all the way around. I'm gonna kind of go one more time just to make it as packed and as uniform as I can. I'm a little, okay. Oh, that's gonna be, it's a little fatter over here. It's fine. Just when it cooks, the area that's a little thinner is probably just gonna get a little more brown than this is over here. It's all right. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're not a cooking show. Okay, I like that. I'm happy with that. Now we need to crimp it so it looks like a pie. And the way I do it, it's like a double pinch and then a push. So pinch where your fingers are interlocked and then it's a push. So pinch, push. And then you go where you've just pinched, put your non-dominant pincher hand there, pinch again next to it and push, okay? So pinch and push, and maybe a little turn. Maybe a pinch, put, how do I do it? Turn. So pinch, push, turn. It's tricky. Okay, so we do a little pinch, push, turn all the way around. My nails are a little too long. They're like stabbing it each time. Ta-da! Okay, now we're looking like a pie. Great. Now, the last step is to, with your greasy fingers, grab your sugar scooper. Just give it a little dusting of sugar. Okay. And there is our pie. Ta-da! We just put this in a 350-degree oven for 1 hour. And I would line the bottom of your oven with aluminum foil or put another pan under there because it does tend to seep out and leak apple juices on your oven. Okay, I hope you enjoyed making apple pie with me, and I can't wait to see how your pies turned out.